Hello and welcome. We're back once again with the Renegade Masters. It's the three amigos, the PokePals ourselves. It is episode 4 of the illustrious PokePals Pokemon podcast. I am the Pokemush, the Mush who loves the Mons, joined as always by the strongest man in Pokemon. It is Ed the Strongman, and the man who likes to moan with the biggest bone in the zone. It is Tone. I'm dancing side to side. It's episode 4 and we're rock ready and raring to go. Gentlemen, how are we?
I have been fighting a little bit of a cold this week. I am not too big a man to admit. I get the slightest little sniffle. I am a Victorian child with a wasting disease. I am propped up in bed. I'm there like, babe, I'm not feeling myself. I'll just stop feeling myself. Could I have a hot drink, please? I am not above admitting I am pathetic when I have a cold. But other than that, I'm happy to be here.
I am good. I am shattered after work. I have 2 days off after today, and I'm away for a week. So I have been madly getting everything prepared for my week off. So it was just work, and trying to get home early to film this. So got here, didn't I? So yeah.
You are, if anything, on time, Tone. I would have loved to have just postponed this week so we'd make you do it from holiday next week, which would have been even better. You done me live from the Maldives. That would have made my week. It is a very quiet week in Pokemon, realistically. We had the big week last week with the Destined Rivals release. I think that came and swept the nation like roaring football fans when the World Cup's on, and it's gone already because everyone is now absolutely obsessed with spending way too much money on Whatnot and Black Bolt and White Flare packs. Mm-hmm. Other than that, I think it's a week where everyone is kind of just waiting for things to happen. You're either waiting for the PC to drop more prismatic SPCs, you're either waiting to be able to get hold of more Destined Rivals from your local card shops, or restock of mini boosters, half boosters, big boosters, and then everyone's getting slightly excited about Black Bolt and White Flare, easy for me to say quickly. And it's definitely becoming very prominent on the socials. It's all I see on my Instagram at the moment, and it's all I see plastered across a lot of Pokemon YouTubers that I've watched. Ace reopened for all of 6.5 seconds, which was great. So congratulations to those of you that managed to get your submissions across.
Pokemon Center released tins that they weren't meant to release a day early.
Yep, Pokemon Center released tins for, again, another 33 seconds, and if you weren't ready for it, you weren't buying them. It's been a bit of a odd, as Tone said before we started, a bit of a fuddy-duddy week. And I think everybody is feeling the maybe post-release blues, if you will. Everyone's a little bit like, oh, well, I didn't pull this, or I did pull that. Oh, this is sad, but this is great. And it's quite apt that you say it's a bit downwards, because the first thing that I think we as a group want to touch on, and especially something that I feel very strongly about as somebody that openly happy to admit suffers with mental health deficiencies and issues, is that we want to talk about mental health awareness. We are in a community where it can get a bit brutal. I'm not gonna sit here and sugarcoat it. Some people can be very much a survivor using toxic in a battle. They will poison whatever they can get hold of, and it's not necessary. And I know I'm not the only one in the universe that wakes up some days and stares at the ceiling and just thinks, here we go again. It's a really rough thing, and I think as 3 blokes as well, we're in that little bracket of people don't talk, and we are very lucky that all 3 of us talk all the time, probably too much. Our wives wonder what's going on. And for me, it's just to segue over to Ed, is just, if you're having any of those horrible, nasty, demonic thoughts in the back of your head, you're not alone. You're not the only one. Everybody has them. Everyone has rough days. It's okay to cry. I regularly do it. I'm still upset that they didn't give Arbok an SIR in 151, and that brings me to a tear every Tuesday afternoon. You are completely not alone, and if ever you need anybody, PokePals podcast on Instagram, go and drop them a DM, and one of us 3 will pick it up and we'll respond to you, because we are here for you guys as a community. Now, I struggle massively sometimes to say how my brain feels, and I just want you to know that if you have that problem, you're not alone. At Pokemush, come and send me a message. I'll happily listen to you tell me how rubbish your life is, and then I'll tell you that actually it's just a silly little thing in the back of your brain that's telling you porky pies. So you're not alone. Everybody's allowed to be sad. It's okay to struggle. if you need something, reach out. And I'm going to pass it over to Ed now because I can feel myself getting a little bit emotional. So Ed, take it away.
No, I just want to fully echo everything that Mush said there. I mean, I am someone that has dealt with severe anxiety and depression the entirety of my life. It's managed through medication, but there are some days that the medication doesn't do what it should. Like, I bill myself as a Poké Strongman. It's not weak to admit that you need help or you need a friend to talk to, whether it's a friend that you know in person, a friend in the community, someone online that's just willing to hear you out. My DMs are always open to anyone because I would much rather hear your problems and hopefully help you out than have to hear that another member of the community or another man or woman or somebody that's non-binary has gone far too soon. The world is a better place when you're in it, and I'm glad you exist. Reach out at any time. This is a hobby where you see the highs of highs and the lowest of lows when it comes to, say, like little things like people pulling the chase card that you want that you just can't seem to somebody else. That could seem like such an insignificant little moment, but to you that could be the be all and end all at that time, whether it's anything to do with your relationship, anything to do with your job, even anything to do in the hobbies that you have just in general day to day. These things can come, they can affect you in ways that only make sense to you, and it may not even make sense coherently to you. You're just the one that's dealing with it. The world is a brighter place when you're in it. We're all glad that you exist, and it is something that you need to do for as long as you can to live the best life that you can. The darkness always comes before the dawn. The sunny days are out there, and there are people here in the community, in your life, that love you and want you around for as long as possible. So please speak out. There's no shame in it at all. We are all here for you. We want this community to be the best place and the safest space for everyone inside it.
Absolutely.
100%.
It's a really rough world out there. We know what the world is like, and again, we've all faced our struggles. I have been at the deepest, darkest depths, to the point of being very lucky to be here, and I can say I'm very happy that most of my struggles are far back in the past. Does not mean that I don't still struggle, and because of that, I have developed, again, very similar to you guys, strong anxiety. My biggest trait now, which is sometimes a strength, often a weakness, is my overthinking, and overthinking can cripple me for days. And the littlest comment, the littlest movement or sign, something that isn't even a sign that I see as a sign, can have me doing mental spins for weeks. And we know that other people go through this. We know that for the wrong person, it will spin them to a point of no return. And to echo my co-hosts, the best thing you can do is speak. When I was at my darkest place, my best friend was the only one I could speak to, and without him, I would not be here. And find someone that you are comfortable to speak to. As the guys said, it's not easy, especially being a man. You're perceived to have to be a sort of way, a macho way, or a strong and confident way. And there are days where we can't feel strong and we can't feel confident and we are feeling low and weak, but to the world we have to show face. Find someone that you can break that down to and speak. Speak, speak, speak. Get it all off your chest. Holding on to things, again, as an overthinker, holding on to things is one of the worst things. And I've learned that near enough everything I'm feeling, whether it's at work, my relationship, my friendships, I don't care if it affects them a certain way. Of course I do. I don't want to overpile and overdump, but a lot of my close relationships know it is a coping mechanism, and I've not met one person that's ever turned around and said to me, "Don't, I don't want to hear this. I don't want to be a part of this," because you'll find the majority of the people that you surround yourself with love you and care for you and want to help you. We feel in our darkest moments that no one can help us, and it's vastly incorrect. so many people want to help you, and as the guys have said, if you're not already following us on Insta, this isn't a plug, but you don't even need to follow me to
It's the
drop me a
cheapest plug I've
DM.
ever seen.
Cheapest plug ever. But drop me a DM, even if you don't follow me. I'm not asking for it, but I will be there for you, because we don't want to see anyone in the community feel that's type of way, and especially in a community where there are twists and turns and there are evil teams lurking in every corner. Things will get you down. If you've heard any of my moan zones, things get me down constantly, but I have amazing friends to turn to. Again, people I've never even met that I'd trust my life in their hands. So speak, and feel free to message me whenever you want.
Beautifully put, both of you, and thank you, both of you, because I would love to sit here and reel off for 30 minutes all of the nearest and dearest things that I want to say to everybody, and I struggle sometimes, and it may seem crazy that a man that talks quite literally for a living struggles to talk, but sometimes when my brain and my mouth can't connect, my vocabulary falls and I struggle to emit the right words, and it just ends up coming up as effings and jeffings and loads of other issues. So thank you for having my back and being able to step in and say the right things in the right places. It is much appreciated. Moving away from sad and down things and moving up in the wonderful worlds of Pokemon, and moving towards telling people that we've had enough of their SH1T. We're going to wander away from being down in the dumps and move on to standing at the top of the hill with a sniper rifle, as we are the men on the grassy knoll taking out all the bad things in Pokemon. We are going to go across from this room into the next one as we step in to the Moan Zone with Tone.
Okay, guys, so this week I put out a story asking you guys to give me some moans. I wanted to community inspiration, I wanted to get you guys involved, and people did not disappoint. Now, I may disappoint here, I can't accustom to every single one of you, but I've saved a lot of them. I may go through some of them in the future. There is one I'm going to glance across very quickly, and it reads that they want me to moan about people complaining about scalping. That's not going to happen, because us three complain about scalpers. You guys ruin the community. For the genuine collectors, stop scalping, go back to your trainers, come back to me for more moans later on Instagram. Thank you. Next, we are going to talk about Instagram. We're talking about mental health and positivity. And Instagram, before I'd even joined the Tone Zone channel and made myself an account, I always thought Instagram is quite a toxic place. And I was like, do you know what? Surely not on Pokemon. And I had friends recommend it, and the first 6 months are always beautiful. And then the toxicity comes. Not toxicity, toxicity. And it has been very toxic recently, and I think we can all agree, and to a point maybe part of us have been involved as well. There have been people I've called out for their SHIT, and I could have probably done that better, and that's me owning that up. But some people do need to be called out on their nastiness, and it is not right. We need to remember, majority of us have full-time jobs, and if it's not a full-time job, you are working. You are doing something so that we can fund collecting these beautiful shiny bits of cardboard. And it's not Instagram. A lot of people think it might be, and we're on a platform that if you are not constantly on there, the platform's not plugging you. I don't then need the added pressure from people to be like, oh, well, you're not following me, you're not liking me, you're not doing this, you're not doing that. And I am very, very blessed and come from a place of privilege of having built up a lot of followers, a lot of them over 4,000 amazing people. Now imagine if I was to like 4,000 posts a day. I love you all, but I will go off what the feed gives me. And if it's not pushing your stuff, I really do apologise. And I've said before, if I don't see your stuff, DM me. If we are that close and I don't see it, I apologise. Some people take it very personal and very much to heart. And instead of dropping you a nice little, hey, is everything okay? Or I've not heard of you recently, I've not seen you recently. People get blasted in group chats, blasted personally. We go to the follow for follow, like for like, comment, share my stuff, do this, do that. And majority of the time, the people that are sending them messages haven't followed you, haven't liked your stuff, haven't commented on your stuff. And a lot of people, as the person that messaged me commented, are what is known as clout chasers. This is toxic. And we all would love to work for Pokemon one day. But do not be hyping yourself up and begging for things if you are not doing the same and being a genuine nice person. We've heard a lot recently, and a lot of groups that have been in the past, us three have been in one before, where people are getting kicked out of a group because you're not constantly liking stuff daily, as if you don't have a full-time job. The same person that is stealing people's photos of their cards for their own. You know who you are if you're watching. Take
or listening, because we are also on Spotify.
Or listening.
And Amazon Music.
Cheap plugs.
There you go. But this is not a nice way to do it. And when you've got a group chat where you have people that you get along together, you like each other, and then if someone is going through something mentally and they're off for a week, and you just decide, you know what, that person hasn't liked my stuff for a week, deleted from the group. Yeah, that's a really good way to keep someone's mental health up, by just removing them from a group or outing them or blasting them for a certain reason. That negativity needs to stop. We're all here for support, and there's a positive way of doing it. And it's something, again, the lads will hopefully back me up on. We've had negativity in the community before, and people that have enraged us with their thoughts, their feelings, their opinions. And I used to be I'm always try to be the first to defend, because I will defend my community and my friends and my people like no one else. And I take the pride in, I want to help my friends. But the way I've been doing it lately is, I don't want to just come for you on the attack. I'm going to reach out and say, is everything okay? Why have you decided to do this? Because, and the point I'm getting to here is, ladies and gentlemen, the way you talk to people really, really matters. I understand you may be angry, and trust me, I work with people. I work with 1,500 people at my job. You have to take a step back and think, what is that person going through? What are they thinking? What are they feeling? Now, obviously, there are some things like mental health and racism and sexism and things where there are no grey lines. It is all black and white. But in this hobby, most of it is all grey lines. It's our own thoughts and feelings and opinions that are based off our friendships or based off of our experiences. Have a chat with people. Have a genuine nice chat. Stop jumping to conclusions and stop making the hobby a toxic place. It's not all toxic, but as I said last week, this is the moan zone, so we focus on the negative to look forward to the positive. The next part that people need to realise is, if you are friends with people and you are genuine friends, this is a community and people will find out. I'm not going to say names, but don't stab each other in the back. Don't be moaning about people in group chats that you're in another group with someone else. And we come from a group where we moan about people. Oh, we moan. But normally it's for the right reasons, and 99% of the time, and something I really try to live by, I've gone to the person first and told them how I'm feeling. The right way, like I just said. But don't be moaning about people or unfollowing them and then talking a certain way about them without telling them first. majority of us, we do it the right way. But again, that person will probably find out. It is a community of people that talk to everyone. Imagine the community like a big spider web. All of us are connected in some way. Why cause drama? Why make it any worse? And there have been people I've been in dramas with. If you follow me on Instagram, you've seen it. And there's someone that I was recently in a drama with where, lo and behold, we spoke it out like men and came to a very positive resolution. It can happen if you want it to. And in this day and age, everyone just wants the anger, and I really do not get why. We need to come away from that. People are against us. We talk about mental health, and it's very easy to overthink these situations. I'm an overthinker, and you think the worst, and you think how someone is thinking about you. Ask the question. Never presume, because you might be wrong. And I'm not saying you are, but there's that potential. Again, going back to this is an online place. A lot of us have never met in person, which leads to the very next part, which is very important to all of us here. This is over the internet. Stay safe. Protect your details. Protect the things that are precious to you. Only share things you are comfortable to share. If we are being open and honest, we've found out very negative people in this community. There have been people that have committed crimes, heinous, serious crimes that we will not go into, that we were communicating with on the daily. There are people that have had wild views, very, very wrong views, that we would never know until we find them out. Make sure you are protecting yourself and surrounding yourself with the people that you know are genuine and positive. And if you do want to call people out, do it the right way. Maybe check in with them first, but if you're seeing things that you do not trust and you maybe want a bit of help and guidance, again, reach out, ask your friends for opinions. Don't just jump on a bandwagon, and that's coming from a guy that moans regularly. Check first and make sure you get the facts right, but protect yourself. And above all, we go into this Instagram, what you really need to protect, again, rounding it off, is your mental health. No amount of likes, no amount of comments or shares or followers or subscribers will cure negative mental health. It may appease it for a time, but if you're feeling a certain way or there is something wrong, like we said before, talk it out. Don't go for these cheap little quick fixes of a like and a comment and a nice little post here. Talk to people. Get genuine, nice and friendly communication and connections. They will really help. And that is where I'm going to end the Instagram part before I go into any further angry moans, because we all know, you can follow me on my stories, there will be angry ones in the future.
The moan train
the
has
next
left
one
the
I'm-
station.
But it is a good place. Instagram, it's why it's brought us three together. It brought the majority of the PokePals together, and a lot of the people that are listening to us in this community, it's all thanks to Instagram. And it does have some positives. Now, the last one I'm going to talk about, and this touches home with me quite well, is people and the way they enjoy their cards. When you pull a card, or when you buy a card, when you buy a slab, when you buy a piece of Pokemon TCG, you are buying it to enjoy it your own way. And I'm looking directly at the PokePals here because I love every single one of you, but this has come from a PokePal and I will not divulge you, but this is very important to remember. It is up to the person who owns the TCG product what happens. And we can all give love and advice and support, but do not judge someone if their opinion goes against yours. I, for one, collect for myself. Other people, and we may go into this further later on in the podcast, collect for selling. Some people collect for grading and only want the best, most clear-cut, central perfect cards. And I've seen some comments on this, and they infuriate me. when someone has posted a card they absolutely love, and someone's messaged on it going, yeah, but it's not a 10 worthy, is it? It's like, who cares? Who cares if it's not 10 worthy? If that person has said they love it, why do you have to comment that? It does not matter, because that person owns it, that person loves it. If someone wants to keep a card raw, like I always do, let them do it. Not everybody needs to go and do an ACE submission or a PSA submission, or, oh, you've got to go send it to get graded. That there can be very infuriated for collectors that don't or never have done slab collections. You've got to get it graded. Why do I? So that I can sell it on, obviously, but I don't want to. I'm a collector. I'm not a salesman. I'm not a scalper, and I'm not an investor. Maybe in the future I'll be an investor, but if I'm collecting for myself, let me collect for myself. Don't tell me what I should be doing because I'm making a financially poor decision. I might be, but I'm not in it for finances. I waste finances on this hobby. We all bloody do.
All TCG collection is a bad financial decision.
Yes. Yes. Hear this, scalpers. It's a bad decision. And stop ruining our hobby and making it worse. Ugh. Anyway, let people collect what they want, how they want, when they want. Give them the advice and just say, again, it's the way you ask and it's the way you say it. And there may be PokePals listening that's like, is Tone having a dig at his ear? I'm having no dig. But we did have a chat recently this week that ruffled quite a few feathers, and me and a fellow PokePals member had to get involved and just say, guys, it's all love. Let the man collect his card. Because one of our men pulled a glorious card. And the overwhelmness he must have felt at everyone telling him exactly what he has to do, I felt for the guy. He's an absolute legend and he pulled a blinder of a card. Let that man mull it over. And it's the way you say it. It's if you're looking at a slab idea, this would be the best way. Or this is what you can do. It might not get a 10 because of this, this and this. Not it's not a 10. Or, oh, that's disappointing. It's not disappointing because someone's pulled a bloody good card. One of my favourite cards in Obsidian Flames that I have is a miscut card. And I've had people say, oh, why don't you trade it for a better card? I'm like, no, because my master set has a miscut in it. I'm buzzing with that. Because it's my collection and I'm happy. So guys, make sure that if you're giving unsolicited advice, it is in a positive way. Because not all unsolicited advice is a bad thing. Because you're just sharing your opinions, and it's what we do as a community. And sometimes it makes this community shine. Sometimes it dims someone to the point that it's a disappointment. Just remember that. Again, putting it all back round to the mental health angle. It is all love, but remember, we are here collecting in the way we want to, not the way someone else does. And that is going to round off this week's Moan Zone. So, going into our next segment is the last point, which we have all decided we're not going to turn into a moan, because not even I want to moan about this, and I've moaned about it before. But what us lads now want to talk about are Pokemon sets. Do they get released too quickly? Is it about right? Do you want more? Let's talk about the Pokemon sets, and is it just far too much, far too quickly, or are we enjoying the frequency? So Mush, I pass it back to you, beautiful boy. What do you think?
I feel like we have this conversation nearly every time a set comes out, and the set conversation can be really difficult because in episode 5 of the PokePals Pokemon podcast, you're going to get a really beautiful SV era wrap up from all three of us, where we're going to talk about all the great things from the Scarlet and Violet era. A wonderful idea given to me by the Strongman, who's strong in the head and in the heart. What a legend! I 100% believe that every set comes out way too quickly. I am struggling as a collector that came back in August of 2024, nearly a full year. Big up Pokemon. I have seen nearly 12 sets released, I think, from then to then, or like over a period of Scarlet and Violet, and then not including special sets and the Japanese. And as somebody who massively struggles with too much change and ADHD and being able to focus in several different places at once, I find it very overwhelming. Like if I go to like a really big card shop, like if I was to go to Collector's Card House, that to me, that is a that's too much in one go. There's too much selection. There's too much option. There's too many sets. There's too much. Like they would have packs from every set of Scarlet and Violet, and I wouldn't be able to make a decision out of that because there's some cards in 151 that I really like. There's some cards in Temporal Forces. There's some cards in Searching Sparks. There's some cards in Destined Rivals. There's some cards in Paldea Evolved. There's some cards in base set, and I'm already wearing myself thin. And we talk about how Destined Rivals is 2 weeks old. 2 weeks old. And I know that because 2 weeks ago we did the podcast special. And yet already everybody has moved on to Black Bolt and White Flare. It's all the talk on the Instagram. It's all the talk on whatnot. It's vagrant moments of, oh, by the way, they've just done a 151 mini booster bundle restock. Quick, everyone run to that. And everyone gets obsessed with that for 5 minutes. But then as soon as that's over, it's straight back to this one. And then soon it'll be the English version of Black Bolt and White Flare. And then after that it will be the first set of the next generation. It's so hard for me to keep up that as somebody who doesn't normally master and is still trying to finish their first master, it's very easy to let it go by the wayside. But sometimes when there's a few big cards that I really like, or cards of Pokemon that I want to collect, because I also do things that I call master collections, where it's just one of every card of one Pokemon. I've done it with Arbok, I'm doing it with Steelix, I've recently started doing it with Tentacruel, because I think that he has some phenomenal cards. 35 minutes in, you can have a phenomenal, I'll treat you. It's very easy for me to let the sets go, but if I was to suddenly decide that I really want to do Black Bolt and White Flare, it's crazy for me to even suggest it because I don't have enough money to buy the binders that would fit that set in, let alone to buy the cards.
Oh my!
But by the time I even tickle the first 5 or 6 packs, the next set will be announced or released, or they'll announce that Legend ZA is coming out on the Switch too, and that then there'll be a set that will go with that game, or there'll be the next era of sets to go with that region, which it's in Lumio City, which is Unova? No, not Unova. I can't remember the region. Kalos, thank you. So the Kalos region will then have another set of cards, and then I'm still stuck in Johto. Like, come on, guys, give me a chance to catch up. So for me, it's way too frequent. It's way too often. Master setting at this point, unless you're a millionaire or you're the king of trades and sales. Like, I'm doing Glory of Team Rocket. That is nearly toilet paper because nobody cares about it anymore. It's so old and by the wayside. Because as soon as Destined came out, everyone got really excited. And now Black Bolt White Flare's out. It's that all over. So by the time this podcast goes live, because we film it 4 days before it drops, there'll be another set announced and we'll be so out of date that this episode will be null and void. So I have rambled a little bit, but I hope my ramblings make sense to you guys and to the people watching and listening on YouTube, Spotify and Amazon. Cheap plugs all day.
There we go.
That sets are far too frequent, and that I think with that frequency it loses its specialty, I guess is the word I'm looking for. Like, there's no, like, oh my god, that this is the set in these sets. Because it's like 2 weeks later, there's another set coming out. So, for me, it's a massive yes. Ed, over to you.
Yeah, no, I mean, I couldn't agree more. I think, like, it could be really minimised if they were to, like, sync up the set releases between English and Japanese. I know it doesn't work because this is the first time we're getting a dual set in Japanese that is coming out as a dual set in English with Black Bolt and White Flare, but it's just like Mush said, we've had Destined Rivals for 2 weeks now. Well, not even 2 weeks at the time of recording, just under. But because we have a new shiny set that's out, everyone's just looking at that and whatnot, and like Destined Rivals may as well be Shrouded Fable at this point. And like alongside,
if only it was that available.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, Pipeline Dream. But as well, it's like, this is something that we will get onto a bit more in a bit, but the fact that like Simplified Chinese is throwing its hat in the ring now. Like I bought a couple of booster boxes of the Gem Pack Volume 2. They've also got an exclusive Fearless Terrestrial set coming out that has an Arcanine SAR. If you're a fan of Arcanine or you just want to dabble in...
Have you not seen it?
No,
After
I
we
need to
finish
see it.
filming this, I'm going to send it to you. I'm sorry to interrupt you, Ed, but I just want to say I want that card.
Yeah.
Don't care
love
about the rest
Arcanine,
of the
yes.
set. I want the big red dog. I want
Yeah.
Clifford. Give him to me now.
Clifford in a crown is all we needed in life. But it's like, so then you start throwing another language in the mix that has exclusive artworks, exclusive sets. You can't possibly keep up, and like similar to what Mush was saying as well, I tend to do other collections as well. Like I've recently done the Shinji Kanda Artist Master set up until the release of Black White Flare, where he's brought out a beautiful Seismitoad. But it's like, that's something that's going to be continuously evolving. That's fine. It's only one card that I need. But that's a set that I wasn't going to particularly go too much into because, like, I like the idea on paper of there being 156 art rares, but if there's 156 of them, those art rares are pretty meaningless in my opinion. Like, stunning artworks, and I will pick them up for the Pokemon that I want, but when you have a set that's like that extreme as well, it sort of feels like we're going the wrong way a bit, in that the frequency is far too high, like volume wise. You have all these additional languages, some with exclusive artworks, that it's like, well, if I'm a fan of that Pokemon, I need to then also get on this. But then also with this set in particular that's come out, or is coming out in English soon, I think it's just over a month away, that when that breaks, that's going to be like internet breaking, because it's 156 art rares. There's a brand new rarity tier thrown in as well that's going to be unbelievably like sought after and scalped to high heaven. It's
God.
it's just there's so much fatigue, and it's something that I'll definitely be covering in like the strongest analytics later on in this episode. But it's hard not to feel burnt out when collecting. And I've only been in this hobby since, well, back in the hobby since October last year, so I've like just hit 8 months back into it, and I'm starting to feel like, God, there is too much. When will it end? And unfortunately, it doesn't.
Never end.
No.
Whilst we're discussing this, Pokemon have actually just dropped 84 new sets in different languages around the world, and my bank account and inner Ed are screaming right now, knowing that it's like,
Yeah,
that's
the
a
new
lot of
the new
cardboard to
Bosnian
chase.
exclusive Pseudo Wudo card that they've just brought out is now worth £300, but only if you've got it in a PSA 7, which is obviously an Ace 10, which is a CGC 4.
That you have to grade with your left hand and left hand only.
Yeah, and if you send it to us in a slab, we will crack it, but we'll burn the card and send you a replacement copy within 3 to 5 working business years. It's it's definitely something that I feel like everybody feels a lot like, all of us combined.
Absolutely.
I think all three of us have that little bit of like, oh my god, this is too much. Like, I struggle massively with like burnout and fatigue. It's especially alongside insomnia. I find it very hard to be energetic at the best of times. And when I do have my bursts of energy, they are usually fueled by my wonderful co-hosts and my friends and my social outgoing. That's when I find that I'm at my strongest. And when I have too much time on my own, touching back into the mental health thing, I crack immediately. Like white chocolate in the microwave, I will melt on the goddamn spot. And when I came back into this, I was opening Paldea Evolved and Scarlet and Violet Base with my friend Lucas. We went to the WH Smiths in our local town where I used to live, and we cracked a few packs. And lo and behold, I bought him one pack just as a thank you for giving me a lift, and he got the Gyarados Terra full art, and I got some Poxy Hollow. You know, and when you're first back into the hobby, it's just very exciting to open anything, but you'll still get that jealousy of like, oh, you got the good card. But within 2 or 3 weeks, they opened a new card shop, and it was like 4 sets. And it was the Temporal Forces, and it was the Twilight Masquerades, and everything else in between, the Paradox Rifts and Base and Powder. And I literally walked in and I was like, I have no idea what I'm looking for. I don't know what the hits are in anything. Like, I'm watching YouTube, I'm on Instagram, I'm trying to learn and find my way. and that got to a point where I just had to shift my focus, and that was when I started to do my Arbok Master Collection, because it was like there were so many Arbok cards that I remember from when I was a kid, with base, jungle, fossil, Team Rocket, and so on, that I could focus on those and then go and find little bits along the way, and those little bits of focus helped me go, there's one from Hidden Legends that I really like. Oh my god, Dragon Frontiers! I actually remember seeing these, but I just wasn't collecting, and that helped me along the way. But as now I get older and I start looking at other sets, I look at new sets when they come out. I look at what's involved in it. I think, how does it affect me as a collector? What do I want to get from it? Is it worth even trying? And sometimes there is nothing more depressing than like 151. I really didn't know much about it when it came out, and then when I found out that there were some good cards in it, I managed to open one mini tin, 2 packs. That was it. That's all I've ever opened of 151. Ironically, got the Arbok full art, which I think is just God's way of telling me that I should be a TCG collector. But after that, blessed Arceus, thank you, I'll be here forever. And it is Arceus, not Arceus. Please learn to talk. It's don't either of you look at me like that, all right?
This is the person that calls Sizor a skeezor.
I say Sizor now. I've fully been corrected. Okay. I've watched the anime, and I appreciate that I am, in fact, not as smart as I like to think I am. My maths teacher was correct. But it does get to a point where, like, I wanted a mini booster bundle when they came in. Tried to order from 3 different Smiths, couldn't get it, went to my local card shop, he'd already sold it out. Within an hour, I felt weeks and months of burnout in 60 minutes, which is really hard to get over. And I'm sure as I pass over to Tone, his sentiments will match mine and both Ed's. So Tone, how do you feel about it all?
Absolutely agree with both of you, and it's just a lot all at once, yet still, as mad as it sounds, not enough, because we're not getting enough of the individual sets, and it's just very frustrating because we're trying to master a set, and by the time we get to 80% and we're like, do you know what, we've just got 20% left, we can finish this, another set is out. And especially because we're on the Instagram scene, if we're not posting the latest and greatest new cards, and this is a discussion we've had before where your like count can go from 1 to 200 to 70 to 80 because, oh, that set is so last month. Oh, how dare you post that card?
That's practically
get your
vintage
Mewtwo up now. Exactly. And you think, when I started collecting, I was the same month that 151 was released, and even then I had so many different sets that I was like, where do I look? Because everyone was opening Obsidian because it was the new greatest set, but then people are still going back and opening Crown Zenith. People are opening Paldea, Scarlet and Violet Base, Silver Tempest, Fusion Strike, Lost Origin, Brilliant Stars. All of these were still readily available because they was all released within the year, and I was just overwhelmed because I was like, base set lasted a good year, didn't it? And as a kid, you're not knowing about the individual sets, you're just like, oh, these Pokemon cards are coming out here and there. But there were a lot of collectors here, we all talk about it, that want to master a set. We are collectors and we like to complete a collection, but we are left in the dirt or scrambling for packs to try and complete our collections because the shops are all selling a brand new pack. So if I want to go in and I'm like, do you know what, I've still got like 14 cards left to journey together, let me go get an ETB, see how my luck's doing. Oh, they're out ages ago, you're not going to get them, it's all destined rivals now. Oh, amazing. So I've got to struggle to go online. And we discussed it before, like the other weeks, and it's like Ed discussed it on his last analytics, is realistically the Sword and Shield cards were only 3 years old, so there are still people, that was the previous generation, not that far away at all. So there's collectors I know in the hobby, like myself with Silver Tempest, Pogo and Astral Radiance. I was aiming to complete them sets, and I've just had to say, whatever I got, I am blessed to have, because I'm not going to get the rest unless I buy them as singles. Because struggling to get packs now, we looked at Fusion Strike and their prices, and I'm not paying over £1,000 for a booster box. I tell you right now. So there's I would love that Gengar. Am I ever gonna pull it? No. I'm gonna have to mortgage my house just to be able to get a sniff of that card.
Just to have a
Like,
flavour of it in the air.
yeah.
I think though what you touched on there is also really sort of important in the sense of like the frequency of these sets being released. Is that obviously the product that they have on release day or release weekend or anything like that is so vastly limited that if you're not ready to switch to the next set the moment it drops, or like be ready for pre-orders whilst you're still opening Journey together, you're gonna miss out. And like, we're collectors, but we all love to degen. Like, if I could have saved so much money just buying a completed master set, or like buying singles for a master set,
Yeah.
which I'll do when I get down to maybe like the last three. There's still that little devil on my shoulder that's there, like, oh, but that Lily's Clefairy, if you pull it from a £4 pack, it's only £4. It's not £110. You sound, but
Exactly.
it's like I've not seen a whiff of Journey together since Destined Rivals dropped.
And I'm just trying to master the set.
Yeah.
It's so hard now, unless I'm searching for singles on eBay. And again, you touch on such a great point, because it's just become so hard when it comes to pre-orders as well, because not everyone in this hobby has a load of money. So when I'm waiting for that payday, because I'm like, oh, do you know what? I could probably put £100 or £150 now, because the price rises, to a booster box of that set, the set that's currently out, and then the week before payday, it's like, oh, guess what? Pre-orders are dropping, and you need to do it a month and a half before the set is released. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to get any of the set. And it's like, I have to now pay for something I'm not going to get my hands on in 6 weeks, because if I don't, I'm not going to be able to join in. And I'm going to have to, what I discussed last week, take days off to go to the shop. It's so annoying, because these pre-orders, it shouldn't be like that. It should literally be, guess what? The product's dropping on this day. The queues are as bad as it is with pre-orders now anyway, but it's like that because everyone has to jump in and get a pre-order, otherwise you're not getting stock. And I take it back to previous episodes where we've said, with the other sets, it wasn't like this. The day after release day, you could log on to Binderful, to Magic Madhouse and Chaos Cards and Eclipse Gaming, and you can go onto all these websites and everything is still there. Easily. And if not, the last set's there. And if not, the set before that. Because when Temporal and Twilight dropped, I could easily get my hands on both. I could easily get my hands on Paldean Fates. I could easily get my hands on Obsidian and Paradox. Not a problem. Nowadays, you are scraping the bottom of the barrel unless you are going to pick up your Shrouded Fable, the tiniest set in the world.
Still think it's a good set. Still standing.
Yeah, I love
It has
Shrouded.
some lovely cards, guys, but the hit rates are abysmal. I'm just going to leave it there. The moan zone's gone. Don't get me started. Blood pressure's raising.
I think
I'm muddling my words.
To jump in and just add that nostalgic point of view is we are long gone from the days of base set comes out, and the only way you ever found out that base set 2 was coming out was that you got the Pokemon magazine, or there was that one kid who lived on your council estate who was bigger, harder than you, who stole your Charizard and then told you in 6 weeks he'd be back for your base set 2 one. It's very, very different these days. That, you know, when I was tiny, it was base set 2, and then you go into things like Jungle Fossil and Team Rocket. Unless you had the magazines or you had the collector's edition booklet, you had no idea what was in the set, you had no idea when it was coming out, and you would regularly find it in places like Toy Master and Wilkinson's and Woolworths. If you're old enough to know these names, welcome, we are the podcast for you. And nowadays, by the time, like Glory of Team Rocket, right, I'm doing the Japanese Master, I've got 13 cards left, all the big ones, obviously. I've got to get the Mewtwo, I've got to get the Moltres. I could go and buy a box of it now from Koi Cards for a reasonable price. £80-90 around that region, I'm not even arguing that's decent, especially when my original booster was 120-ish. And obviously I know that Japanese boosters are smaller and come with guaranteed hit. But also, is the degen worth it? Because when I pull another 80 quid's worth of bulk and base set that I don't need, that then will sell for all of £4 on eBay, it's just not really viable at this point. And by the time I can even fight for those ones, somebody will have been like, oh yeah, have you noticed that they brought out 16 new sets in Korean, Chinese, Japanese, and also Bulgarian? And I'll be like, oh, fantastic. Well, let me just quickly whip over to Scandinavia so I can go and pick up the new 6-card set.
You have been sleeping on it.
Yeah, to be fair, I have, yeah.
You need to get over there now. They'll have it. But to quickly touch on that point as well, there are some collectors in this hobby that collect both. So for them, it's even worse because it's not 2 months or 2.5, whatever it is. It is, there's a new set, and then in 2 to 3 weeks later, you've got the Japanese version of the next set. And if it's a split Japanese, you've got the next Japanese version. And then you've got the bigger set of the English of it all combined. And then guess what? You've got another Japanese set. Ed's point, chuck Chinese simplified into the ring. And guess what? Gem 2's now out. You gotta get them ones because you started collecting Gem 1. And guess what? Some of the older sets are now released in Chinese, and it's like, oh my gosh, let me breathe, please.
That gave me brain fog just listening to you explain that to me.
I got whiplash from going back and forward between sets though, because it's like, oh yeah, we've only just started hitting the start of Scarlet and Violet in simplified Chinese, and I just started twitching. I was like, can't.
There's a little bit of me you can't see because of the camera cut off, but from the waist down, I am shaking.
Legs just going.
Yeah,
like
literally.
A dog,
And, it's a really good way to jump from what we've been talking about into what we're going to talk about next, and it's how do we feel about hunting for cards in other languages? Now, we've talked about set releases and how frequent they are and how much they can be detrimental in their own way, even though it is, at this point, kind of the norm. It's been normalised in our lives that by the time you've got 16 cards of Journey Together, Destined Rivals is already available for pre-order. And Ed, you're
available for pre-order before the set's even dropped.
Yeah, I know, it's outrageous. Here, pay £65 and only get £5 of it as a deposit. That I hate as well. Pay a £5 non-refundable deposit for your box that's going to cost you 60 quid anyway. Cheers,
by the way,
mate.
we don't know how much allocation we're getting, so
yeah, we'll probably cancel it and then you'll only get £60 back. Yeah, nice one. Cheers, lads.
No, it's not even a warning. It's a there's an email. Sorry, so sorry. We had to cancel.
It reminds me of that South Park episode.
South Park, exactly.
The BP
We're sorry.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
With the nipple patches, isn't it? Oh, you need cable now.
Oh, that's too bad.
Oh, you want to watch your favourite movie? If anyone clicks onto this video on YouTube and they jump to this timestamp randomly just to see what the podcast's about, and there's me rubbing me man milkers.
You wanted your pre-orders? I'm sorry.
Oh, you want to collect every set before the next one comes out? Oh no. Clip it. Put that on Instagram. Can't wait to see me rubbing my tits on the internet, for God's sake. As we
PokePals podcast cancelled because the guys keep rubbing themselves inappropriately.
Hands where we can see them, boys.
It's all that will be left on episode 5 will just be Ed sitting in a room waiting for somebody to segue him into the strongest analytics and nobody being there to do it. Just anyway, we move out of rubbing our nipples and talking about set frequency into talking about something that Ed is a really good example to use here, is hunting for cards in other languages. Now, obviously, many collectors will know that Japanese and English are the big boys, the strong holding points in Pokemon TCG collection. Obviously, many other nations across Europe and the rest of the world have their own languages and sets that come out. And recently we've seen the mass rise of Korean and simplified Chinese cards, especially with the gem packs that Tone touched on earlier, and simplified Chinese now touching into the Scarlet and Violet era. With things like you hunting for the Shinji Kanda Magikarp full art, which, chef's kiss, that is a great card. I personally haven't touched any of the Korean or Chinese, because I am trying to be a really good boy and only buy things for my master set or a Bonnet Hollow. They're the only things I've bought. I have been a very good child. I am doing good. I am going card hunting tomorrow, so all is well. But for you guys, because obviously, Ed, you've done some hunts on your own YouTube channel, which will be linked at the end of the video. If you haven't already, go and watch Ed do stuff without us, because it's just as fun. And Tone, obviously recently with Skeep Collects and Jamie, you did a live stream on Instagram where you opened up the unknown box. So for once I'm going to throw it to Tone, then Ed, how do you find hunting for other cards in other languages, and do you find it as, I don't want to say satisfying, but satisfying?
I'm glad you're starting with me because I'm going to be quite brief here. I don't really hunt in other languages. I've always been a very much English collector. There are a handful of other languages I've gotten, mainly just because being on Whatnot. But no, there's only one Pokemon I've ever hunted in another language, and that is the unknown from Silver Tempest. And my goal, I had like a goal with the unknowns when I first joined in 2023, which was completing the Neo set. As soon as I done that, cause on the side going back to the collecting, we're not just collecting sets, we're collecting our own personal collections as well. So once I completed that personal collection for me, I was then going for completing all the unknowns of Silver Tempest. And once I done that, I was like, now I want them in Japanese. So I'm all but one down for that. And then, thanks to Art of Toads, he sent me, he was like, have you seen this box? And was like, Simplified Chinese Victory Stars. And it is a part of Silver Tempest, but Simplified Chinese. So now I'm like, well, I have to have them in all three languages, surely. And there were a couple of cards, because there are some of the Sword and Shield era cards that I think are absolutely stunning with a silver border. A lot of the trainer gallery cards that come with a yellow border. Case in point is, talking of Silver Tempest, is the Smeargle. I've got that in Japanese because with the silver border and the card, if you haven't seen it, I'm guessing after this Mush will put it right there, but it is the artwork where it's having like a paint off with an artist and there's just paint splattered all over the card. It is a stunning card, and being honest, the yellow border kind of takes away from it a bit. But having the silver border around it is beautiful. And another one is the Oranguru, where it's like on an RV car and sat there with the silver border. That card is beautiful. But apart from that, not really. If I see a nice card because the border looks good, then yeah. But now that I opened a full box of Simplified Chinese, I've now got the allure to do my first non-English master set. But no, I've always been a collector that's chased English, so for me it's quite easy to answer, but there is that allurement here and there, but only small, and I'm dipping my toes in slowly, and I'm enjoying it so far, but I don't think, apart from this smaller set, because Simplified Chinese is so cheap, I don't think I could ever contemplate aiming for a master set of Japanese and master in English. Again, not to go back too far, but it's far too much to do it that way. And I know there's people that do that, and it's just, I ain't got the money and I ain't got the time.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
It's really good to hear the opinion of somebody that's only dabbled in it. Because obviously for me, I haven't ever touched it. I've watched a few people open some boxes of it. Ironically, most person I've watched open other languages is Ed on his own personal YouTube channel.
Yeah,
and there are some of them that do really, really intrigue me. Like, I like the triple beat boxes that you've done. And it does is tempting. But a lot of what I collect now is for my master. And all of my master collections, like my Arbok one, is done. So I just need to add in cards as they release. Steelix, a lot of it is realistically I've got to fight my way to get all the vintage cards, which is going to be, I might as well just put down a deposit for a wedding now rather than spend all the money on cards so that the wife doesn't kill me. So Ed, for you, obviously, because you wanted to complete your Shinji Kanda master, your artist master set, which means you needed that Magikarp. How has hunting in other languages been for you? Has it been beneficial, or have you found it as frustrating?
I've absolutely loved it, if I'm honest, for a multitude of reasons. So, if I was to do this in Japanese, for instance, hunting the Magikarp, at the time that I was doing the series, a triplet beat booster box in Japanese was about £100. And then obviously trying to get Paldea evolved, it's like towards the end of its like print cycle, or as we expected at the time, that you're looking at say like £200 for an English booster box. I was picking up Korean booster boxes for about £28 shipped, so like £28 all in. That's, I mean, granted, it still would have been cheaper to have just bought the bloody fish, but it was a way that I got to degen, because I mean, ultimately there is no greater feeling than when you pull the card that you're after from a pack that you've bought. Like, that's the biggest serotonin endorphin rush that you can get, and this gave me that viable alternative to be able to do that. And it's the same with like the simplified Chinese gem packs. They're so readily available, and again, I think I looked on my order history, and for 2 booster boxes shipped from China, it cost £55. Shout out to Imagine Youth Collectibles, incredible company. But it just gave me that opportunity, and where I've only been back in the hobby for like 8 months, I was effectively able to go back to sets that I'd missed and rip them, granted in a different language, but I got to have that enjoyment of like, oh, so this is what everyone was like enjoying, or like this is what all the fuss was about. I did it in Japanese when Obsidian Flames was out. I bought a Ruler of the Black Flame booster box. At the time, that booster box was £35. An Obsidian Flames one was maybe 120. So I was like, this is Ed making big brain moves and smart economical decisions. He didn't, because he still spent all his money on cardboard, but at least I got more cardboard for my money. But it just gave me that alternative of like, I can rip packs. I can, when I'm frustrated that I can't go out and get the latest set or the stuff that's in print at the moment, there's a viable alternative, and it gave that like that same feeling at a fraction of the price and without the frustration. And I feel like it's something that I'm starting to see a lot more people have moved to, like particularly with Japanese. Like, Glory of Team Rocket was the most expensive Japanese pre-order we've ever had, even beating out Black and White Flare. And it's because there's so much hype and so much like FOMO. Because let's be honest, coming off the back of Surging Sparks, that was the start of like the downfall. Prismatic Evolution, the scarcity of product.
We don't speak its name.
But then also the abysmal pull rate. In Japanese, you've got a guaranteed pull rate because there's stricter gambling laws in these Asian countries, which means that you may not hit the card that you want, but you are guaranteed a good time when you're opening it.
That's because anybody that bought a Terrafest box just got the Ogapon SAR. That's it.
I mean, this would like to disagree.
Yeah, cool. Well, you know, PSA gave everything else you sent them a 4, so whatever.
It's a multiple.
I still
of 4.
think Everyone's better.
But it was just that option of like, there's a card in this set that I want. This is the cheapest way that I can do it, and you're not gonna like. Yes, you may be disappointed in the sense of like it's not the card that you wanted, but you still had that great fun opening it. You still got to rip packs like it was nobody's business, and you got something at the end of it, which obviously we don't get in English. Like, yeah, there's like rough seeding if you get a booster box of like you should hit one of like the gold rares potentially, and like there's maybe an SAR in like every other booster box, so it's like a 50% chance that you're gonna hit one. So it's like there are slight options in terms of seeding potentially, but with these other countries it is much more like guaranteed. And like, I also love chasing the exclusive artworks. Like, I was very fortunate. I managed to get the Sleepy Umbreon out of the Gem Pack Volume 2.
I think that's a great card.
It is absolutely stunning, and all 4 of them give me connecting artworks.
Do they?
Yeah.
To be fair though, Ed, I have actually looked at yours since you've posted it in the group chat, and it might be fake. So you should send it to me so that I can check it over for you. You know, and I'll do it free of charge. I really don't mind.
You are a true Christian, Mush.
I'm a proper Arceus-fearing man.
But I mean, in the upcoming 151 set, in simplified Chinese, there is what can only be described as the single most incredible Pikachu card I've ever seen, because it's got a big old Gengar in the back, and it's like, it gives, I think, what we sometimes forget just in general is that obviously we're all English speakers. Other countries that haven't had product in their native language have had to put up with our rubbish for so long. It's nice that they're getting their alternative, and even they're getting exclusive artworks. That means like it's not them buying English stuff. We're now buying simplified Chinese or Thai, or like the Indonesian Pikachu promos that we've had, for instance, and like the Korean Ditto promo that's out at the moment, where it's
with the Lapras.
Absolutely magnificent.
Such a good card.
But it's like some people are looking at it and it's like, oh, but because it's Korean, I'm not going to get it. Buy the artwork. That's what, like, ultimately, that's what we're doing. Unless you're playing the TCG, this is my opinion here, but unless you're playing the TCG, the wording shouldn't really matter, because you're buying the art. The words are just an addition. And I'm going to go out and say it, as I've said multiple times before, I prefer some of the foreign cards, because, especially with Japanese and like simplified Chinese, because of the kanji and symbolism of like their alphabet, it takes up less space on the card, so you have more of that artwork available, not hidden behind text. So for me, as someone that is just looking to experience the sets that I didn't get, chase cards that I want at like a cheaper price, and also the accessibility of product and actually being able to degen, which is, let's be honest, 50% of the reason that we do this is because we're chasing that like little serotonin hit. For me, I think collecting in another language is an absolute no-brainer. I can see why people would be against it, but
yeah, I just want to jump in there because it's a very interesting topic, and I am an English collector, and I have never really been interested in it. And there's a part of me, it's because, again, I grew up, and I kind of take where I am now in this hobby has obviously come from how little Tony come up, and I didn't come from a wealthy background, so I weren't buying base packs and jungle packs left, right, and centre. I had what I had for weeks and months and years, and I had to accept it or trade cards with kids in school. And I spent hours reading my cards. So there's a part of me, I think I've brought that into the hobby, where you got to think we come from a generation where you've got a little box and the rest is writing.
yeah,
And a lot of the common cards are writing. So there is a part of me that where I see your point and I hear your point and I totally agree, especially with the illustration rares and above, it should be about artworks, and I'll quickly touch on that soon. But for a lot of people that don't collect in foreign, I think the reason is because I'm hoping that the ones that really have the true appreciation, especially for the commons, they love to read it, and I like seeing the little addition of the Pokédex entries, and I like to see what moves they are. And again, for some of the collectors in our community, they're TCG players. So for them, the Japanese and the Chinese cards don't really appeal to them because they can't really play with them. But going to your point of the artworks, there is a part of me that has been debating. I've never debated doing a master set, but now that we've got the S&V era almost out of the way, do I go into the next one and like maybe I branch out? Maybe I do get a bit of both, or maybe I do just aim for the artworks I like. But again, you touched on the point is we love degenning. We don't just love. I will get singles to complete a collection, but unless I've actually attempted to pull it, I can't just on set release go, do you know what? Let me drop 200 on a Mewtwo.
Yeah,
it's true, and in the great words of Sophie Ellis Collector, last night a degen saved my life with a pack. It's
sorry, we're not just going to skip past that as if you've not just dropped some lyrical genius on us.
Do you know what's even better? Is it just came to me as you kept saying degen.
Mate.
I don't know why, but in my head I just had Last night, a DGen saved my life with a pack, and I was just dancing along.
my God.
Yeah, Sophie Ellis Collector, new Instagram handle coming next week.
I'm trademarking that now.
I think as well, and I think we keep circling back and touching on it. I think that the way that we've looked at it is that yes, you could go and spend. Sorry, I've killed Tone. For those who can't see what we're doing because you're listening on audio-based platforms,
ignore me, I'm dying.
Tone is having a small breakdown, not mentally, but just physically. He's obviously in need of a DJ.
I thought then you were going to reach for a pack of tissues to mop your brow and do a pack trick on it and everything.
I did the other day, so I completely random, but I made bacon sarnies, but I did the back trick for the bacon. Just pulled the one from the back to the front and was like, right, yeah, that's the good one. That's the rare slice.
I did that with toast the other day. I was getting my bread out and I was like, oh, that's a secret rare right there.
I saw somebody do it with a pack of seaweed once and I couldn't stop laughing because right at the end they were like, oh, wait. Oh yeah, there we go. We've hit the big one, and it's just slightly more crumpled than the rest.
My family did it the other day with crisps. They're like, "Oh, this is a big crisp," and I was like, "Artware, artware crisp."
Is that an SIR? But yeah, so you could, as we've said, you could go and spend the big money on the big chase card, or you could go and spend that money on a booster box of the same stuff from another nationality or language of card and still get to enjoy that joy that we're all realistically in here for, which is ripping and pulling your own packs. Now I do totally get both of you. I understand Tone's point of view that sometimes it's nice to read the card and understand what's going on, but for me, on my side, I'm here for the artwork. Because I have such a vast memory of every Pokemon because I've been here since the first one and I'll be here at the last one, hopefully. We'll see how long I last, but knowing that all of my Team Rocket set, I know everyone that's in that set and I don't need to look up what that Pokemon is because of that, but looking at it from the outside in is that you could, as we've said, spend all that money on big cards, or you could spend all that money having the fun of chasing that big cards. I think when you break it down and analyse it, it's then, is it more worth buying the boxes and chasing it and pulling it, or is it you're going to buy these boxes and chase it and not pull it and then buy it anyway? There's always that worry that you could go and spend said amount and not get what you're looking for, or you could spend said amount and buy that one thing you're looking for. But I always aim for the buy the box and go to pull it, because like with Glory, when I opened my booster, I was very lucky that with the few bits of bulk that I'd been sent from people and a few odd singles that I bought, I ended up with 2 doubles. Pretty much that whole booster box went into my binder, and I got to appreciate every card that came out of it, from common all the way to SIR. I was very lucky that I got to enjoy that whole box and not really was left with too much sadness. And now I'm at that point where, should I buy another Glory booster and just go for it, or do I just buy the Mewtwo, the Moltres, the gold cards? And it's a hard thing to decide, because I'm going to have to get 2 Crobats regardless, because one of them is going to have to sit somewhere, because that card is, and say it with me, phenomenal. Fantastic. And I think that we all feel very strongly about cards and money and what to spend and where to go, and I think it's a really beautiful way to just wrap that all up in a ball and bowl it down the lane as we step in to the strongest analytics with Ed.
On this week of the Strongest Analytics, the only show where the market trends are benched and hard truths get the hollow treatment, I'm your host, the Poké Strongman, and we are going to dive into Destined Rivals. That's SV10 to my sumptuous set code sticklers out there. The final main set of the Scarlet and Violet era that's been out for just under 2 weeks now and is already having a little identity crisis when it comes to the secondary market. Now, as we know, Destined Rivals is the English counterpart to Heatwave Arena and the Glory of Team Rocket in Japanese, and the Pokemon Company clearly went, how many full arts is too many, before deciding, nah, keep going, and then also carried that momentum onwards into Black Bolt and White Flare. That week's instalment may kill me. But instead of diving into all 62 plus full arts, ARs, and SARs like a true masochist, I'm going to keep it focused on just the 4 biggest hitters of the set so far. So these are the cards that the people are chasing, overpaying for, and are inevitably listing on eBay the day after they pull it. Let's break down where they started, where they are now, and where I think they might be heading. So naturally, I couldn't kick things off without discussing Team Rocket's Mewtwo EX SAR. This is the chase for the set. You've got the final boss Giovanni and his most powerful weapon in Mewtwo, looking like he's about to launch a hostile takeover at a moment's notice. The Japanese version of this card set the tone 2 months ago, and English has now followed suit. At launch, we saw raw copies listed for around the £250 mark, despite a few eBay sales actually hitting £800 plus in the pre-release PSA 10 bro hype era. As of today, it's actually held quite firm, hovering around the 250 to 260 mark. So strong artwork, powerful nostalgia, incredible character and pairing with Giovanni. Like a lot of Team Rocket plans, it's peaked early and is now regrouping and trying to get how it can get its riches back. Cynthia's Garchomp, this one for my platinum heads out there. Cynthia in all of her goth baddie glory, posing alongside her ace Garchomp like it's the cover of a Johto metal album. It's a scene card done very right. Debut pricing for this card was actually one of the most volatile that I've seen, ranging from 170 to £300 in terms of day one sales. And when I say that, that's a consistent across both. That's not like a minimum maximum. There were multiple sales and listings on like around release day that was going for that price, which is quite interesting. And the card is now sitting at around £150, which again in the space of a couple of weeks effectively dropped by half. This is one that I can see doing quite well, like long term. So obviously, strong demand from the overlap between Cynthia competitive fans and also those that just really like dragons with jet engines for arms. I am one of the guilty. Out of the 4, this one actually feels like it could have a bit more of a resurgence, as we're seeing in Japanese at the moment, with the Japanese counterpart still hovering around 140 to 150 pounds. So like for like with English, which is actually quite unheard of post-release of the English equivalent of the set. Ethan's Ho-Oh EX is, I'd actually say, one of the more surprising and consistent ones of the 4 at the moment. So this one got the chase territory purely on the vibe of the card itself. Beautiful composition, the character presence, Ho-Oh soaring through a beautiful sky. It looks like it belongs on the cover of a Johto remaster that doesn't exist yet. This one actually entered in the market below its Japanese counterpart at £130, whereas the Japanese version saw £160. Current last sales for this card hover around the £105 mark, which actually make it, for a big chase card, very affordable, sort of akin to the Lily's Clefairy that we've got in Journey Together, which is, at the time of recording, hovering between £100 and £110. I actually think that this could be a real sleeper of the set, because I mean, it's got the nostalgia, it's got the Gen 2 love, and it's one that is, to pardon the pun, flying under the radar a little bit, in my opinion, at the moment, purely because you have got the big hitters of Garchomp and obviously Mewtwo. Moving into the final card that I'm going to be looking over today is the Team Rocket's Moltres EX. Everyone's favourite Firebird is back, and this time he's working for the bad guys. So this one exploded out the gate at around £165. The big thing that I also want to sort of point out in this list is that the biggest and more expensive cards do seem to be more from the Glory of Team Rocket side than they do from the Heatwave side, which is quite a consistent theme when we do go into sort of the other cards in the set. This Moltres is now actually hovering around the £100 mark, so it's dropped by roughly 60 quid, which again, a couple of weeks after launch, it's not the biggest drop that we've ever seen, but I find that it's quite interesting that over a third of the price is gone, like, immediately. But arguably, I'd say that this is one of the more beautiful cards in terms of the actual card itself. the posing, the vibrancy, and how live those flames actually look. I think it is a stunning card, and it's one that, again, I think that this could go down very well long term. I mean, when we talk about Journey Together, we all talk about how beautiful that Articuno card is, and it's nice that Moltres has actually got like an SAR equivalent that is absolutely sensational. But for me, I feel like this is one that will probably, again, to pardon the pun, have a slower burn, in the sense of this will gain in interest and value over time, and eventually could possibly usurp the Garchomp. I know that's quite a bold statement, but everyone is going to be chasing the Mewtwo and the Garchomp in the short term because they're the ones that are bringing the money in at the moment. It's sort of like how we've seen with like the Moonbron, that a lot of people unfortunately only chase it because of the monetary value that it will bring. As soon as it's pulled, it's on eBay, it's on a Facebook Marketplace listing. Whereas I feel like the Moltres is going to very much be one that the collectors have in the short term, that will then start to see that hype build up, especially as like more and more nostalgia kicks in, and additional sets come out that sort of start to feature this Pokemon, or start featuring more Articuno, more Zapdos, and you want to get like the original Legendary Birds trio in like an SAR form. So to summarise with where the market's heading, Destined Rivals, I will go out and say, is the best main set that we've had in the Scarlet and Violet era. The common artworks are stunning. The big chases are suitably big chases. It's full of incredible artworks, beautiful cards, and we're starting to see, like we touched on earlier, what I like to call the collector fatigue season, following everything that happened with the set that must not be named, the constant Japanese pipeline, so that the cards that you want to see, you've actually seen for 2 months at the time that you're going to collect them in English, and then the looming arrival of Black Ball and White Flare in English. People's wallets are thinner than a Fusion Strike pack hit rate, and fatigue is well and truly settling in. These 4 cards are holding very well for now, but I would expect prices to dip a little bit further in July once more boxes get cracked, graded cards are like flooding the marketplace. At the moment, we know that the pops are low, especially in sort of 10s, whichever grading body that you go with, but as more packs get cracked, more cards are submitted, more cards are graded, we're going to see some big fluctuations. And also, I'm going to go out and say, with Black Bolt and White Flare being as ambitious as it is going to cheapen the art rares, special art rares, because there are so many of them. And when a special art rare has been the big chase, and now we've got a tier above that, effectively everything gets shunted down, and like an EX was the big thing, then it was a V, then it was a V star, a V max. All of these things get usurped by the next thing, and now we've got that next thing to chase, and there are so many artworks to chase that we're seeing it now. You can't go on Whatnot without a Black Bolt White Flare stream being the big thing, or a random 151 restock, because people are getting packs in suspicious circumstances, but that's by the by. So my advice for you at the moment is, if you're buying, buy because it's a card that you want and you are willing to pay the price that it is right now. If you're looking to buy to resell, or buy because a Discord server has told you it's the next Moonbreon, bro, stock up, bro, stocks, bro, stocks.
Stonks.
Don't sleep.
Don't sleep, chat. It didn't go well last time, and it won't go well this time. That's all I've got for you on this week's Strongest Analytics. Keep your binders tight, and remember, strong markets reward patience, not panic buyers. Until next time, stay strong, happy collecting, and don't get suckered into overpaying for cards. Speaking of paying for cards, let's pay a little visit to this little card of ours.
Thank you, Ed, for your Strongest Analytics. Every week, I really enjoy going through the nitty, the gritty, and the bitty bits, and finding out that realistically, I'm never going to afford any chase cards. It is the financial fumble that is my entire life, but I love it nevertheless. We move into our weekly fight for dominance between the three of us, and it is this little card of ours. Now, last week, we all stepped forward with a card of our own. I stepped into the battle arena with my Houndoom.
I stepped in with the Blastoise.
And I burst onto the scene with the 1999 Koro Nido King.
And in condescending order, and I will say condescending, in third place, with 24% of the votes, it is me. Houndoom has unfortunately been dethroned. In second place, with 28% of the vote, it's Tones Blastoise, and with an absolutely near unanimous takeaway, with 48% of the vote, your winner for this week's Little Card of Ours is Ed and his Korokoro promo Nidoking. I think it's well deserved. I said last week that I'd vote for you. I voted for you the minute that this post went up.
It was never going to lose.
I found it really funny that when the post went up, 3 or 4 people were like, oh, it has to be the Houndoom. And I was like, if I win, the podcast is doomed. I will get folded like a cheap IKEA frying pan. Yeah. So, congratulations, Ed. Do you have anything to say to your adoring fans?
Just that you put the rightful king on the throne for this week. I mean, all jokes aside, I think that is one of the most beautiful cards I've ever seen. It's vintage Japanese. It's a Korokoro promo. It's old back. I mean, this is something that I just need to explore more of, is like these older Korokoro promos. And Mush, we've had many a conversation where you've sent me one and I'm just like, that is stunning. I'm on Card Market looking.
And ironically, since Ed's shown us this card on last week's podcast, I've actually been and bought it. I now own one myself because it's just too good. And as it works here on this Little Card of Ours, where Ed does now hold the top spot, it is down to myself and the King of the Moan Zone to come at him with 2 hard hitters. Now, I have tried really hard to pick something that isn't a slab and that isn't massively high-end or full art, and I've tried to go with another one of my favourites, and it's not Arbok, but it is a snake-style Pokemon. I am jumping in with this Dark Steelix. Now, obviously, the Korokoro promo is of a vintage. Oh, stop it! I've got a rock-hard snake. I wanted to get something of a vintage era. I've been going through a lot of love for commons at the moment, and holos and vintage, and I love Steelix, and this card is fantastic. Way! Got ya. And I thought that for once I would try and veer away from just going for high-end or full art, so I'm going with this Dark Steelix Holo. That is my Little Card of Ours for this week. Tone, who are you bringing to the table?
Very nice. I thought about this and I'm a bit hurt that I've not won since the first episode. So, opposite thinking to you, I wanted to go for a big hitter. I wanted to go for one that I know this community loves. I know this community chases. Someone in this podcast has chased this in a different language. Yeah, we know what we're talking about. I've had to bring out the big boy today, and I am bringing out the Magikarp. This absolute beauty. One of the only chase cards that I've been able to pull myself. And of course I weren't filming it. But this absolute stunning, beautiful boy, and all its glory as it dives over that waterfall with the, if you just want to see that little detail of the Gyarados up there as well. This is what I bring to the table today. As Ed, I know you love your Shinji cards. This Magikarp is what I bring for this Little Card of Ours today. Glorified in a Kanto Forge case. 10% off using code TZ10.
Well, I might as well just bow out of this week anyway, and then just leave you two to scrap it out. I also couldn't tell if through the entirety of your speech there that if Ed was either mortified or merely plotting to fold you.
I'll be folded. I will willingly be folded. I give him my body. I do not give him the card. Because this beauty is going to be on top.
You'll have to pry this card from my cold, dead hands.
If it's not, this community will be on next time's Moan Zone. I tell you now.
That's it. Threaten the community.
Do we all want to say what? Do we all want to say what our cards are?
So, is that it? So I could win this week if I just basically threatened to batter all of the Pokemon community. I am harder than a coffin nail. So unless you want to get scrapped up by me, I am ready, willing, and Chad Gable to take you all on. So if you want to vote for the Mush, a vote for the darkest Steelix there is.
And if you want to keep the king on top, It is the 1999 Koro Koro Nido King. May I add, you all look stunning today.
And if you want to leap me right over that waterfall with this absolute stunner, go for this boy, the Magikarp, this shiny, beautiful boy. You know you want to.
And if you are listening to this podcast on release day, you can go now over to the PokePals podcast Instagram page where you will be able to vote for your favourite of those three. Drop it in the comments which one you think is the best. Vote on the poll and then come back on our next episode to find out who won. Now, we have been at war for 4 straight weeks now actually, on the podcast, but it's time for us to no longer vent our rage and unpopular opinions for you, the wonderful, wonderful viewers in the community in our PokePals world and universe, if you will, have sent us your burning and desirable questions. Questions you want us to answer, and we are going to give you those answers right now. So, how it's going to work, I'm going to ask a question. We're going to go Ed, then Tone, then me. And I have written them in a very random order, so if they make no sense, I do apologise. But to start us all off, I think this is a fantastic question because everyone's going to have a slightly different answer for different reasons. So, gentlemen, if you could open any pack from any era without any questions, what pack would it be?
So, when I first saw this question, my initial hunch was go immediately back to Gym Challenge, Gym Heroes. So some of my favourite sets, some of the most incredible artworks. I will own a Sabrina's Gengar one day. But I am actually going to go for a slightly different flavour, and I'm going to go for the 2019 Sun and Moon set Team Up. As we know in the group chat on the podcast, I talk about tag teams until I'm blue in the face. They are some of my favourite series of cards. Getting to be there and open that pack up, chasing those cards, the tag teams for the first time, knowing what I know about Pokemon now and like what the actual value, like when I say value I don't just mean monetary, I mean like the scarcity, the sort of landmark shift that set brought in having like the tag team cards. I feel like that's something that I wish I could experience because I've never opened a tag team booster, and it's something that I feel would be that one set that just scratches that itch for me because it is the first introduction of something new and something that I love so dearly in my collecting since returning to the hobby.
A fantastic choice. Shout out to Mega Sableye and Tyranitar, the best tag team card. I don't care about Latios and Latios. I've got it in Japanese and I'm very happy to have it, but I do 100% agree. So Tone, any pack, any era?
So when I got this asked for nostalgia reasons, I thought about the bases, I thought about the Neos, and then I thought about what would I truly appreciate opening, me, collector, who would I be chasing? And I've gone for EX Ruby and Sapphire for the Unseen Forces set, because in that set there is the separate collection of the unknowns. So I would actually want to try and open them and hope that I can get an unknown in the pack. So I think that for that reason, the fact that it's an era, I never opened any of the EX era either. But to try and open a pack where I can chase a different unknown that I don't already have any of them, because I don't have any Unseen Forces unknowns. If anyone wants to gift us PokePals podcast, please. But yeah, that would be the set that I would like to open.
Yeah, I can't argue, and it makes me think of the Team Magma's Groudon and Team Aqua's Kyogre, the full arts, that are modern day Grails. But again, it's a set that I never touched, and both of your answers are fantastic, and I'd love to open both of them. I feel like I'm going to be really basic with my answer, and I'm going all the way back, and I personally, and a shout out to JD Cards because it's a big inspiration, I would love to open the original Team Rocket set, because as a kid,
that was an answer I thought of.
Yeah, as a kid, maybe 2 or 3 packs in my entirety of existence upon this little ball of water and mud that Arceus has blessed us with. And I actually was really lucky that as a kid I pulled Dark Venusaur, and eventually
Very
and eventually
nice.
traded it away and got older, and wine, women, and song is a thing. But going back and being able to rip it open and maybe have the chance to pull my own Dark Arbok without having to buy it from somebody, and just getting to relive those first looks at Dark and the trainer cards as well, like the Dark Jolteons and the Dark Evolutions, obviously the Dark Starter Trio. There are just so many cool and unique artworks, and even I've got the Dark Steelix from Team Rocket Returns for my this little card of ours. It's one of those ones that, although very basic, I would love to go back and even just one or two, just a really slowly degen 2 packs and just really take in that nostalgia. I think very, very quiet and honourable mention. I would love to open some Primal Clash, because I'd love to have an opportunity to pull, and a shout out to Poké Chris because he pulled the Primal Groudon, but I'd love to have the opportunity to pull that because I thought those cards were really cool because they were like a touch on the Mega style, and I really like the Mega style, which Ed said earlier. So that for me is my one, and it's
Very good choice.
it's a cool segue into question 2. What's your all-time favourite era of cards?
I really, really struggled on this one because it's like there are so many different like parts to consider. Because if it's like sets as a whole, I would go all the way back to like what's the era, and just because of everything that brought us. And I do think that is going to be like my answer for this. But honourable mentions, it's like the black and white hollow style, just on like the hollows in the set, absolutely unbelievable. And then like Sword and Shield has my all-time favourite card in, as we know, the Gengar, unbelievable. That really sort of like revolutionised like the alternate arts and made them the big thing. And like in terms of just sheer artworks, Scarlet and Violet has been nothing short of incredible for like the cards that we've had. But I think for me it's got to be the WotC era, just because like you think of the iconic sets, they were the first and the originals, but those are artworks that have stood the test of time. And then when you get into like the E series, that's like the very tail end of it. It's like the change in the card style. Like as a kid, I didn't get to fully appreciate what that actually meant from like this little bit of cardboard that people are going to be going mad over in 20 years' time because we didn't realise what we had when we had it. I feel for me, nostalgia, the sort of like game-changing thing that Pokemon was at that time, and also just like the accessibility and like the joy of like going to Woolworths, getting some pick and mix, getting to like
Woolworths was my pack haven. Yeah,
do that. Get
Woolworths Pick-a-Mix, a pack, some cheap Saturday night cartoons. Pwah!
Mate, I would take that now over anything.
Yeah.
Like, that
Mate,
is
I would
just-
take that over any party, wedding, night out.
Yeah.
I don't want to be. I don't want to
Every
be in the
single
pub
day.
with the lads. I want to be at home degenning 3 or 4 packs and eating my weight in cheap sweets.
Yeah.
I would get rid of 90% of shops on this planet for Woolworths and Blockbusters to make a proper return. Like
I don't know. I
and
still think I owe Blockbuster a tenner for the first Assassin's Creed, so maybe not them.
With interest now, you owe them $6 million. Like.
Oh,
Yeah, with interest, I can now actually reform the entire business.
I think I'm going to go quite similar. This was very hard, but I missed a lot of areas. Anything after Neo, all the way up to Sword and Shield, I'd missed. But I am going to stick with my guns and say the Neo era would be my favourite. Now, there is a very, very strong argument and part of me that's fighting against myself why I'm not saying the first WotC cards. But Neo bought me my unknowns. Neo bought me my shining cards. And them two alone, like, don't get me wrong, Radiant cards, don't get me wrong, Fate sets, but there is nothing on the Shining Raichu, the Shining Steelix, the Shining Gyarados. Them cards are much better than most full arts out there. And then to have sets that have got unknowns in, and some of the Neo artworks are top notch. And Neo is very slept on when we talk about vintage sets. And I think we need to give it its flowers because Neo was a beautiful time for the TCG.
Yeah, could not agree more.
Yeah, massively. And for me, when I wrote all these questions down, because I answer as I go with these, and I sat there and I deliberated, and again, like you, I've just dropped a box on my foot. That really hurt. Brilliant. Like you guys, I went straight back to the originals, went back to the WotC era, because Wizards of the Coast is unbeatable, and I really wanted to pick Neo. I really did, because like all the reasons that Tone listed off, but Ed actually said my answer, and I'm going to throw in the E series, because Aquapolis, the more I look at it and the more I read into it and the more I discover about it, because I didn't open any of it as a kid, I was well gone by then.
Same.
Is that there is something really fantastic about the style change of the cards and the art style change of the designs that I really like, and the more I look back at it now, the more I wish I got to open some of it then. So I would have to say that for me is probably my favourite era of cards, getting to look at the art style. I will say in this one I'm going to shout out tag teams, because I feel like that was a point where it was something that really changed, but that is a really good one. And then our next question, I think, is going to be quite difficult for all of us to answer, because everything that we have is probably a high valued item. But what's your most cherished item in your collection? And I think if we try and keep it to a small, because otherwise we go, oh, this in this binder and this in this binder, we'll all degen our own packs and stuff to go through. So
I've got my answer ready.
it's going to be an unknown thing, isn't it, Tone? You were too quick to respond there. All right, what's your most cherished item in your collection?
Me? Shining Gyarados.
Oh,
Favourite card.
I forget that you have that, and it reminds me I need to come round.
Now, for me, I am just going to do a little bit of scene setting, because there is a bit more of a story to it. But for me, it is my Gengar VMAX alternate art. So this was the card that made me actually want to start collecting Pokemon again. I saw it in Fusion Strike back when you could get the sleeved boosters just from like B&M, things like that. It was the very first set of cards that I bought when I wasn't back into collecting, but I just randomly on a whim was like, oh, Pokemon, that's cool. There's the big Gengar VMAX on the front with the big Looney Tunes-esque mouth. I was like, I'm just going to pick that up as I'm buying some, like, you know, cleaning products and whatever else you get in B&M. And that was the first thing that I was like, that's actually really cool. I can see why people are still like mad on Pokemon. Whenever I'd see Fusion Strike out in the wild, I would always go pick it up in the hope of getting this card. And this year has been... Sorry, one sec. This year has been quite a rough start, in all honesty. I'm not going to go into sob stories or anything, but it's been quite a tricky year. And one day, the wife and I were like, we've got the weekend off together. We're going to have like a nice day out. We went around the local wildlife park. Beautiful day. On the way home, I was like, you know what? I might just nip into Asda, just see if they've got anything in. I almost didn't go. It was 50-50. And I was like, I went past the house and I was like, no, you know what? We're gonna carry on. We're gonna go to Asda. On the shelf, they just put out the Hidden Potential tins, which have 2 Fusion Strike and 2 Lost Origin in. And I remember driving home from Asda and saying to Mrs. Strongman, wouldn't it just be the icing on the cake after everything this year if we've had this beautiful day out at the wildlife park, we've seen some animals, if I was to pull that card that I've been chasing since getting back into collecting. If I didn't pull it, I was going to buy it as a gift to myself for my 30th birthday next year, so that has always been on the horizon. I get home, we're just chilling, I'm like, I'm going to open those packs now, start with Lost Origin, pull absolutely diddly, because it's Lost Origin. And then I open 1 pack of Fusion Strike, and I get absolutely nothing, as expected. But I'd saved the Gengar artwork pack for last, because I was like, he's my boy, he's my favourite. If anything's going to have the pull in it, it'll be this. And it was one of those out-of-body experiences where you're just flicking through the cards, and then I get to the reverse holo, and I have the out-of-body experience. I am watching myself do the next card, and I just momentarily stopped functioning as a human entirely. I looked at it because I was like doing the slow reveal as you do. Wasn't recording it because the best pulls are never caught on camera.
Never.
And I just start moving it slowly, and I'm like, oh, that's got like a really glittery edge there. That's cool. Like, shame it won't be the Gengar. And then I pull it a little bit more, and I see like a bit of the border, a bit of like the evolves from. And I'm like, oh, that's really cool. Shame it's not going to be the Gengar though. And then I just slowly go, oh my god. And then I scream. And it's that moment of
Mrs. Strongman jumps out of her skin and across the room.
She was trying to have a nap, bless her, and I'm there screaming the house down. I run in, clutching the card, shaking. A lone tear forms in my eye, and I'm like, I've actually done it. I have actually not only pulled the top chase card from a set, whatever, don't care about that. I have pulled the top card that I have wanted, that was the catalyst for me getting back into Pokemon, but it's the one that I saw and I was like, I don't care what it takes, this is a card that I need to have in my collection. And when I got it graded and it returned in a 9, I know some people might be like, oh, it's a shame it didn't get the 10. On the back, it is actually printed wonky and like completely a bit weird. And I was like, if that does not sum up me as a person, but also Gengar as a Pokemon, this to me is the thing that I will cherish. This could go for £500,000 and it would never leave my collection, because this is, for me, this is what collecting's all about. And to have something unique to myself that I pulled myself and like will just cherish indefinitely, it couldn't be anything other than this.
It's honestly, I remember the day you pulled it, because you went in the chat and I could tell that there's that like giddy-ish feeling that all humans get when you can't express how you feel because it's too much. Oh my god, yay! In one go, so you end up just it comes out as like crap Klingon or whatever. And you know, I'm pretty sure yours is fake, so you'll have to send that to me as well so I can check. You know, there's a few bits I need to obviously look over for you guys. It's
Carbox Mush.
Yeah, shut up. I actually, and you can call me really sad or sentimental or whatever, but I have loads of things in my collection that I cherish. I have a slab Arbok of the Wild Force full art that I think's great. I've got a Rayquaza in a slab that I love. I've got loads of cards in my binders that I love. But I'm going to be really sad and sentimental and say that this PokePals podcast mug in my collection is something that I cherish, because every day that I sit at my desk, I am reminded just a little bit of how far not only we've come as a trio and as a podcast, but how far I've come in this community and in this collection space, because I went from being somebody that was recently sober, struggling to figure out what they're doing with their life, not really feeling like they fitted in the group they used to be in, and don't really know if I fit in the group that I was trying to join now, and felt very, I don't want to say lost, because I feel like that's not the right way, but just unsure of what direction I was truly travelling in. And through meeting you guys and our group chat and meeting lots of other people within this community space and being able to have the ability to start this podcast, and even if 5 people listen to it and enjoy it, that's a win for me, because I get so much joy out of coming on here every 2 weeks and chatting absolute Febreze with both of you, that every time I get to look at that little thing, and it was a massive surprise present from Ed, and I forever will enjoy it. It does. I'd look at it like that old man where the single tear rolls down, and it reminds me of how far we've come and how far we're gonna go, and that's why I cherish it, because it's a constant reminder that if I have days where I sit here and I want to bawl and cry and be fuming at the universe, I can look up and think, oh, do you know, a few more days and we'll do this, or I'll go and watch that and remind myself of that bit where Ed said doom, gloom and Vileplume, that just made me cry with laughter for 3 straight days afterwards, because I just couldn't get over how fun it was. So although it's not a Pokemon based thing, it's a Pokemon based thing, and I will forever enjoy it. So that's my cherishment.
That's I think as
Very
well though.
beautiful.
That just goes to show that collecting these bits of shiny cardboard is it's so much bigger than the cardboard itself.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like the community, the love, the distraction from like the real world, because that's what Pokemon is. It's like
That's it.
it's
The
imaginary
amount of hours I've
monsters.
put into Pokemon Scarlet, it should be a distraction from the real world.
You've actually got a full-time job, and then you go to work to have a break from,
Yeah,
from Scarlet and
that's it.
Violet.
Basically, running a podcast and playing Pokemon Scarlet is 2 full-time jobs outside of my full-time job. And that's exactly it. So
Very nice.
that's my cherished item, and you two I cherish as well.
Oh, stop
Shut
it, you
up!
flirt.
You both suck, and I hate you. Give me your cards. There we go. Get a little bit of like that grump out, and then we're all normal again. Right. So, moving on to our next question: what are you all currently collecting? Master set specific Pokemon. So we'll do a little bit of rapid fire for this one because we all know that I'm doing the Glory of Team Rocket. I'm master setting that. That's what I'm looking for. Ed.
I'm finishing off 151, Destined Rivals, and Journey Together Master Sets.
Tone.
Journey Together, Destined Rivals, and now Victory Stars Chinese, Simplified Chinese.
Awesome. I would love to take on another master set after doing the Glory of Team Rocket, but I think if I do take on another master set, it will not be anything older than Scarlet and Violet. Like I would go back and like maybe like if there's a few booster boxes or something I could pick up, I'd do that. But that's neither here nor there. This next question I quite like, but I feel like my answer is going to be really boring. So, what's the collection retirement plan? Sell, pass to the kids, cash out, and go on holiday.
For me, it's definitely going to be sell at some point. I am unsure as to whether or not I want to have little strongmen or not. It's just one of those things. It can't. My mind changes like the weather. Sometimes I think it'd be lovely. Sometimes I'm like, I could not imagine anything worse. So for me, it's like sell on these things. So somebody else has the chance of having some joy from something that brought me joy, but also almost getting like the fruits and like the rewards of like holding on to these things, resisting that degen itch, and actually using it to either fund a trip to Japan, which is like my absolute top of my bucket list place to go, or like do something that will be meaningful and know that like a little hobby that I had that got me through a really tough time has actually now also gone on and enabled me to do whatever this is or buy whatever this is. So it will be sell, but it won't be sell to quick flip and buy some Supreme trainers. It'll be sell and have something that I will cherish and enjoy forever.
Nice.
I think for me, it's still undecided, and it's something I've put a lot of thought into, especially as and Ed just mentioning it. Me and Mrs. TZ have recently been discussing children ourselves, and we are not there yet, but we are considering starting. So when that hopefully finally happens, it's going to be a massive expense. So it's like I've considered, and knowing that moving out, having a child, we're gonna need funds. But the conversation very much is if I can do it without selling the collection and keeping it all, I will. It will be a last resort. Because I love the idea of giving my cards to my children. And if I was to ever sell any, there will be exceptions. There will be going to buy a separate Squirtle 151 so that I can keep it and then sell the 151 Master Set. I can't get rid of that. Same with Stellar Crown Master Set. I can't get rid of the Squirtle out of that. There's no way I'm getting rid of the Unknown collection from Neo. And there's no way any of my vintage, from the most basic to the best card I've got, are ever getting rid of. Because those are coming with me from the age of 7 and onwards. So there may be certain sales, but again, it will be either to fund life, not to fund a flip to get the next new slab. But ideally not, and ideally it will be passed down in generations.
It's lovely that you both have, kind of ideas or plans that your sets would would fund either, greater, bigger collections or greater, bigger things for little versions of ourselves, I'm going to go out on a limb and say, screw everybody, I'm taking it all to the grave with me. I will be buried with my Arbok, and if you want them, you will have to pry them from my cold, dead, mush-like hands. And
absolutely, my coffin's going to have all the unknowns there. Absolutely.
I'm going to be buried like this.
I will 100% be buried with a very cheap pair of sparring gloves, and you will have to bring it on. I
just rises like the Undertaker.
Yeah, that'd be it.
Someone's trying to get it.
Bring it on. For me, yeah, I'm at that stage where the conversation of mini mushes will eventually happen, and like Ed, I flip flop on it like a Big Show turning heel then face again, and if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But I would love to actually give it to them rather than get rid of it. And if I have to sell a few things to fund a bit of life, then they go. At the end of the day, like Ed said, this is my escape from the real world, and this is something that I am very passionate about and I enjoy. And if losing 10% of my passion to gain 50% more happiness later in life happens, it happens, and that's it. But otherwise, everybody can absolutely jog on, and I'll be taking it all to the grave with me. This one I love, and I've been thinking about it all day because I'm a big fan, and I'm sure if you've listened to a few episodes of the PokePals podcast, you will know this, that I'm a big fan of the Pokemon video games. I play them to death all the time. So, what's your personal favourite of all the Pokemon games? Not the one that you think is the best, but the one that you enjoyed the most.
Pokemon Stadium, hands down. From being able to build my team, to be able to play all like the mini games, like the Lickitung, Sushi, Roulette.
The Sushi,
the mini games.
The Rattata jumping over like the obstacles, running on a track, like having
Clefairy, oh my god!
I will agree that it is a fantastic game, but I will never get over seeing Snorlax with its bloody eyes open.
Or Stoned Venusaur.
Stoned Venusaur's fantastic. That was me at 17.
But then again, sorry to have to jump into your part, Ed, but then Pokemon Stadium 2 as well, with the Scizor Pinsir game,
right.
and was it the first one that had the Pikachu and a Voltorb game?
Yeah. And as well,
goodness.
I could be wrong on this, but I'm pretty sure that was Pokemon's like first step into like 3D as well. Whereas like around that time with like Pokemon Snap as well.
I remember being 14, 15 years old and going around to friends' houses with my N64 just so that we could all play that, and there'd be 7 of us, so we jump in and each take turns, and it's like winner stays on, the other 3 get involved.
And the capabilities to be able to play your Game Boy cartridges on that, or like bring your team over from like red or yellow or whatever onto
playing yellow on the big screen as well as a byproduct.
We had to
Pokemon
wait
Stadium.
until we got the Nintendo Switch to do that again, so that's great. Yeah,
So,
great choice, Ed. Fantastic choice. Tone?
I went basic and I thought game, and we all know that I miss loads of the games. So I am going to stick with my guns and say Pokemon Gold, because it brought us Johto, it brought us the unknowns, and it brought us the capability to complete the game, maybe, and then go back and do Kanto again. So for me, it's going to be Pokemon Gold.
Solid.
It's a really good job that I spent ages thinking about this, because I was initially going to pick Pokemon Crystal. It was my Emerald, because everybody bangs on about how good Emerald is, and I in no way say that Emerald's bad. I love Emerald. I played my cartridge to death, but Crystal, I put in more hours. When I owned it, I bought it again. I've played it as an emulator. It was just
and all 3 cartridges, Gold, Silver, and Crystal, all beautiful cartridges,
beautiful artworks, and there was something really nice about being able, in Crystal, just the added little bits of story, because they always do it with the extras where they mould both games together. And again, like you say, going back to Kanto, but for me, it's a bit more modern, but my favourite game to have played through the Pokemon series is Pokemon Black 2.
Ooh, good shot.
I 100% I played that game to death. I did a run with every type. I did a run with every starter. I did a run where I had to be under-leveled. I did a run where I didn't care. I did a shiny run. I had a Nintendo DS, no television, and no internet connection at one point when I lived in a very old flat. and I was between jobs and was just basically doing what I could to get what I could from where I could, and all I really had was my phone and a Nintendo DS with Pokemon Black 2. It made me fall in love with Pokemon like Excadrill, Zebstrika, Cofagrigus, Zorua and Zoroark, because I didn't play Black 1 or White 1 before this, and then I played it later on in life.
Did that, as someone that hasn't played them, did that affect the storyline at all, or?
It's because Black 2 is technically a prequel, and it happened a sequel, so it happens like 3 or 4 years later. So it was a bit weird, but it was also really cool because I got to go back and fill in the gaps in the story that I didn't understand. But it was great. It gave us the Swords of Justice. It gave us what I think are the last good legendaries, which are Reshiram, Zekrom, and Kyurem. It just was the all-round best game for me to have played, and I wouldn't ever change it. I would happily go back and spend 2 years without decent internet or television and still just absolutely rip through Pokemon Black 2. And shout out finding a shiny Sandile after spending 3-4 weeks looking for a different shiny in the desert, and then just going, oh well, and moving on with the game, because wasting nearly a month of your life is just what Pokemon players do.
I also just want to, before we move on, really shout out Pokemon Go. Like, I know it's not, say, your typical Pokemon game, but I feel like that first month that it came out back in, was it 2016, I believe?
2016.
I think that's the closest we've ever been to world peace, I think. Like, you just...
Absolutely.
You'd go out, like, the house to, like, your local park or anything like that. You'd chat with people that you knew were there for Pokemon because they were huddled around the Pokestops. Like, you would chat to people, everyone would be like, oh yeah, I caught this amazing Pikachu, and like, it was just, it was the closest, like, throwback to base set, in the sense of, like, it was everything that you wanted as a kid and thought Pokemon would be in the real world, and it actually delivered on it. It gave us that true sense of what the Pokemon community could and should be, because it was like, you'd say like, oh, get to this spot in town now, like there's a Charizard knocking about, and like, it was almost like we shouted out last week when we said about people saying, oh yeah, get to your local one stop or like the original factory shop to get cards. It was the equivalent of that, and I really feel like in terms of like a game itself, it's not like an incredible game, but what it brought us and what it enabled us to do is like, I just felt like it had to get a shout out on.
It revitalised my love for Pokemon, and I wouldn't be here today without Pokemon Go, because I stepped out of the hobby a bit. I didn't play the games. I got a bit older, but I still loved Pokemon, and I still loved saying that I did. And we all know that my skill of knowing the first 151. And I was working at a summer camp at the time in America. And when that game released, it was all the rage in America as well, and it came out a little bit earlier there. And we were running around the summer camp in a place where you're not meant to be on your phone, and we was running around. The kids were getting involved and getting hyped up for us to do it on our days off. You're walking around New York City catching Pokemon, and it is crazy, going around Central Park and everyone's on their phones. It was a phenomenal time, and going out late at night, driving in a very empty rural town, driving at 10 miles an hour, so that you could just oh wait, we've got to get stop. And I remember clear as day, in this town, me and our friends were just sat in a car park, and this kid's come sprinting into the car park and went, Blastoise down the road, Blastoise down the road. And I was one of two in the car that was lucky enough to catch it.
That's amazing.
And again, this was a game where it's like, I'd only caught 3 Squirtles by this point, so I was nowhere even near. I was just about getting to a Wartortle, let alone ever getting to a Blastoise. And incredible time.
I also just love that, like, whenever you go somewhere new, like, even now, I don't play it as much anymore, but like, I still dip in and out of it. It's like, I was in Barcelona last year, or the year before, and even whilst I was there, I was like, I'm just gonna see what, like, see what's it's like here. And it's like, you see people of a different nationality, obviously different country, and they're all over it as well. And it's like, that just goes to show that Pokemon is a global thing, and it's like, everyone is enjoying it in their own way, like, wherever they are in the world. And I just think that is like something beautiful that couldn't not be shouted out in this segment.
No, and
I think next year's 10 years.
Yeah, that's mad. I do agree. I very big stickler because I love the original video game style. But even I had a good couple of months with my friend Lucas and my friend Jordan. We would regularly, because we lived in like a triangle of each other, so we would just meet up, go for a couple of hours walk, loop around our town, collect everything, do all the community days and everything, and it actually brought us together closer as friends, and it's a really, really beautiful thing. So I touch on that sentiment with you guys as well. But randomly, Tone, Pokédex number 34.
Nidoking.
That's uncanny. All right, cool. Just checking. just to point out as well that I just googled Pokédex number 34 just to see, because it's a talent that I haven't yet touched on.
Do me another. I'm ready. First 151.
All right, let's do funny number 69.
Bellsprout.
118.
118 is Goldeen.
It is, yeah. All right, stop it now. This is just getting weird. Right, we're going to cap off with one final question, which these two said that they were struggling with, and I immediately knew my answer to. And it is, if you could live in any Pokemon region, which one would it be? Now, if you two struggled, I'm going to throw my answer straight away because I can do it easily. Johto. I would live in Johto. As I said, Crystal was one of my all-time favourite games, and although I played Black 2 to death, Crystal is massively fond in my heart. You could get all of my favourite Pokemon in Johto. You can get an Arbok, you can get a Scizor, you can get Forretress, you can get any poison types, you can get Tentacruels and Tentacles. It's also got my favourite legendary in Lugia. It'd just be a place that I think, as a human being living amongst the Pokemon. Oh, and also when I played Crystal, I got a shiny Kingler, which randomly is awesome. But yeah, it would be where I'd go. I'd be a Johtonian boy.
So for me, I actually went for Sinnoh, and it's because, I mean, Pokemon Legends Arceus, unbelievable game, but also for the region of Japan that it's based on, of Hokkaido, is one of the single most beautiful places on this earth. I feel like the way as well that it's set sort of in older times where things are a bit simpler, it's like a lot more just like things are how they are, Pokemon and humans living alongside each other, not just battling, but then also having the beautiful countryside that is Hokkaido. I just think for me it's like that, a simpler time, a beautiful landscape. What more could you need?
Great answer.
Well, the one that I wouldn't say would be Galar, because we already live there. I already live in Wyndon.
What are you on about? We get Galarian Mr. Rhyme. Come on. We've got great Pokemon.
And I thought, when I first read the question, I was like, what would be a funny answer? And I was like, oh, surely I gotta say Alola because I want to chill on the beach. But my mind solidified on Johto as well. So we would be living in the same region, Mush. I get to go to the ruins of Alph and hunt all my unknown. I get to go and hunt my shiny Gyarados, and I get to have the very best time in Johto. And then if I want to go walk over to Kanto, it's not too far away.
Yeah, that was a kind of a major point for me, was that obviously in the game you get to go to Kanto, and it's round the corner. So, you know, anything I can get in Johto, I just nip over to Kanto and knock on Samuel Oak's door and be like, "Oi, Chavy, give me one of them starters, my boy."
Exactly.
It's always interesting because I think that's a question you could put to any Pokemon fan, and they justify the reasons as why they want to stay there. And that is, you know, the sum total of all the wonderful things about Pokemon is we've all got an opinion, we've all got an idea, we've all got our favourites, we've all got our likes and dislikes. And I think we've touched on that really well this week. Again, gentlemen, episode 4. Let me open the bag and chuck it in there. Zip it up. It's done. We have loved filming every episode, and I think that as we move on to our first milestone, 5 episodes, we're finally solidifying ourselves as the premier Pokemon podcast here on YouTube, on Spotify, on Amazon Prime. If you don't already, go and follow myself at PokeMush, at the Poké Strongman, at ToneZone TCG on Instagram. Go and follow the Strongman on YouTube. Then go back to Instagram and go and follow at PokePals _podcast. Go and find all of our socials. If you're having a rough time, drop us a message. If you like what we do, give us a like, follow, share, and subscribe. Thank you all so much for joining us on this wonderful journey from Kanto all the way to Paldea and everywhere in between. From me, the Mush, from Tone, from Ed, the strongest boy, have yourselves a wonderful day. It's been an absolute pleasure. So long, farewell, and thanks for all the fish.